What's up, AfterBuzzers? The American Ninja Warrior After Show is back with the LA Qualifiers and a very special guest, so stick around because you're not going to want to miss it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
There we go. We get some lights going. Absolutely.
Okay.
See, that's why you got to watch the video version of the show. Guys, we're back. We're back with Season 9 of American Ninja Warrior, and right back with it, the American Ninja Warrior After Show, right here on AfterBuzz TV. My name is Ty Matthews. Y'all can find me online on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA. I'm joined by a new host, a very new host for this season. Chris Howard is not with us at the moment, but he'll be back later on in the season. But in his stead, the lovely and talented, you can find her online at AmyCassandra_TV because she's Amy Cassandra.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I also have my website, amycassandra.com. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Of course, absolutely. We're very, very excited. We ended last season with some special guests. We had Matt Asman, we had Gbaja-Biamila, but now we've got the absolutely incredible, the sideline reporter for American Ninja Warrior. Guys, you can find her online at Kristine Leahy. Kristine Leahy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for coming.
Where in the world did you find this song?
Oh, this is MC Chris.
I didn't even know that this existed.
You don't know this. You don't know about MC Chris.
I don't. Do you know about MC Chris?
It's nerdcore. Some people call it nerdcore.
Okay, I love nerds.
It's very geek oriented hip hop.
Well, maybe I'll have a talk with the producers and see if we can make that our new intro.
There you go. Exactly.
That sounds fantastic.
Exactly. Got a lot of this is one of my absolute favorite tunes, but we were racking our brain trying to come up with intro music for last season. The very first song that had to do with ninjas came into my head.
It's perfect.
And it fits, gets me hyped every week.
I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
We're hyped right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got the LA Qualifiers. We've got a whole lot of qualifiers to get through. We've got Vegas to get through. Lots going to happen this season, but it's always fun right out the gate seeing what new obstacles might be coming around. So let's recap some of these obstacles for the LA Qualifiers. We start off with the floating steps, as always, right into the cannonball drop. Now the cannonball drop's new, but we've seen similar
something like it before.
We've seen similar with the logs before. Mm-hmm. From there, we've got the flywheels. Another new one with the battering ram.
That was a hard one.
That one's absolutely hard. We'll also get to the flywheels because the flywheels did some damage.
Super violent
tonight.
For everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
The battering ram, it's these sliding cylinders that these ninjas have to slide and then jump from.
And there's 3 of them.
Right.
And the difference between the first and the second is 6 inches.
You listened very well to my course description.
Thank you. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
There you go.
Did a great
There's
job.
so many numbers in the descriptions. I'm telling you what I'm doing. Like there's 6 inches and there's 3 rams.
It's a lot of math.
15 feet.
Yeah.
And then of course, rounding out the course is the warped wall, as it always does.
14 and a half.
Good job.
Of course.
Yeah.
There you go. And that was new for last season, right?
Yes, they raised it up 6 inches because too many people could figure it out by then.
Right. Which is weird to think about that being a problem.
Yeah.
Because
6 more inches?
Right. Because there's so many people that don't even get a chance to make it that far.
Right.
So the fact that too many people were getting past
Well, it was kind of becoming a thing where if you made it to the warped wall, you were going to make it up.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to kind of up the ante a little bit. And a lot of people practice specifically on a 14-foot wall, so they know how to do that. It's kind of like a robotic.
I see.
But if you haven't practiced on 14 and a half feet, that could be a problem for you.
That makes all the difference, absolutely. Yeah. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you became involved with the show in general, your history with reporting, everything like that. How did you get involved with Ninja Warrior?
Well, I was working for CBS Sports and CBS LA, and I remember out of the blue, my agent at the time said, "Hey, can you go do this random general meeting with this guy at NBC?" And I was like, okay. Like, you go in general meetings all the time, and usually it doesn't turn into much. But I went to this meeting, and it was Brandon Reig, who's no longer at NBC. He actually just left for Netflix, but everyone's still great friends with him. And so I went into this meeting, and I looked him up beforehand, and I saw that he was a Redskins fan. And I knew that I could tease him about that at the time.
Of course.
So I just went in and I just talked about sports the whole time and the Redskins. And he's very smart. He went to Penn. And I really had no idea what this meeting was about. And we were talking, he's like, "Oh, what kind of shows do you really like?" And I said, "I would really love to do something with Shaq." I covered him for the Celtics, and he does a lot of really cool TV that I thought would just be fun. And that was pretty much it. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, that's a cool guy. Nice.
Sure.
And then I emailed him afterwards, thank you. And he's like, yeah, you're welcome. You know, here's some tips for how to change your website. Like, it was just really weird. And then 6 months later, I remember I was at Nordstrom at the Grove, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. And I think I was having a really bad day, honestly. And my agent called me, and I knew if he called me that late at night, it was something important. And it was March, and he was like, hey, so you're gonna get the job for American Ninja Warrior. You like have to go in and audition, but it's yours. And I was surprised. It kind of came out of nowhere for me, but I was really excited about it because it is different than anything I've done before. So I went in for an audition, and it was unlike any audition I've done before. And a couple of days later, I got the job, and it was an interesting transition for me in my career because at the time I was working for CBS and this was for NBC. So I had to go to CBS and say, hey, so I'm going to do this show on NBC. How do you guys feel about it? They didn't like that idea.
They weren't super thrilled.
But I had to take a huge leap of faith in myself too, and see if that was something that I wanted to do and give up my traditional sports role, at least for the time being, in order to go do this for NBC, which I thought was the right move. It was the time to take a risk, and it was primetime television on NBC and a big family show that still had somewhat of a sports tie-in. So I felt like it was an okay move.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it worked out.
It's an unorthodox kind of show. You know, you don't. When it started coming around, you didn't see a lot of obstacle course shows. I mean, you saw stuff like Wipeout, but this was right. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, everyone compares it to, and I remember at the beginning too, because at that time it still wasn't as big as it is now, and so you know, I had to explain to my parents and to all of my colleagues. They're like, "You're gonna go do what?" And I was like, "Well, I guess it's kind of like Wipeout, but it's harder.
it's serious
and it's
Wipeout.
Not funny. But sometimes it's funny." And then it became a really big deal, and actually it was that season that it started getting really big, and the videos of like Casey Catanzaro had gone viral.
Sure.
So everyone was talking about it, and then it became very clear that I had made the right move.
Right, absolutely. It's unorthodox, but it's also there's a lot of unorthodox kind of styles that go into it. One of my favorite things last season was seeing people that trained not necessarily in parkour or rock climbing, but people that worked on farms, and people that like Anna Christensen. She's a construction worker, and she works with all this piping and stuff. What did you guys think of kind of her story? Because I'll tell you, I wasn't expecting her to get as far as she did. She made it all the way to the battering ram, like right off the bat. So I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts are on those kind of unorthodox training styles.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to know, the big part that I love about American Ninja Warrior is that it shows you that you don't have to have this intense amount of training to get really far. And some of the competitors, were pole vaulters. So it's like, okay, yeah, that'll definitely get you far, but you can do anything you set your mind to. And it's so inspirational that it's just like, yeah, if I work hard enough, I really can do anything. Like climb up that warped wall.
I think that's why the show's so successful, because for so many people sitting at home from all different kinds of backgrounds, they're watching saying, oh, well, if he can do it, then I can do it. And I don't have a gym membership, but I can make it work on my farm, or whatever it is, or if I can go do parkour, or if I was a gymnast in college, or anything, any kind of background, you can find success. That said, it does take a lot of training.
Oh, God, yes, absolutely.
It takes a lot of training, and you see people come back year after year, and they get better and stronger. So even those guys that are on the farm, and it looks like they're just going about their daily work, that's not true. They're hopping over stables and climbing up. I don't even know what a lot of farm technology is. I have no idea. But that's what they're doing.
Well,
they're working hard at it.
I know we saw the guy. He was a farmhand last year, and we saw him like climbing silos.
Are you talking about Lance?
Yes.
The guy who wears no shirt.
Exactly. I love that guy.
The ladies love him. But he's married and he has children, and they're all beautiful.
Awesome.
Yes.
We get a lot of good family stories. Absolutely.
There's great family stories.
Well, we saw, and speaking of both families and also kind of unorthodox methods, we saw Riles Nagunga later on in the episode, tow truck driver, but he's also like hanging off that gate in the parking lot.
Flagging.
Flagging.
If you can flag, do you know how strong you are?
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
It's insane. There's a gym I was at recently, and there was this guy just randomly flagging in the gym, which is a little out of place, especially in Hollywood.
You know.
And I
mean, it might be in place in Hollywood.
True. I looked at like, do I know you? Because that is such a ninja thing to flag. And I start looking around where, like, if I see people doing crazy things, I assume that they must be ninjas.
Okay.
Or they should be.
Right, exactly.
But to flag, you have to have insane core strength, and your arms have to be jacked.
Right, exactly. And that's another thing that jumps out at me is just the variance of sizes in the ninjas that we see. You know, we'll see someone like Casey Catanzaro, but we'll also see someone like Anthony Trucks, who at 225, he was the biggest of the night, but just like flew through the course. It was the first finisher of the night also. How much do you think size and strength come into play does it depend on the obstacle?
It does depend on the obstacle. And it plays a lot, actually. So if the obstacle is something where you're hanging, obviously being heavier does not work to your advantage.
Right.
That works to some of the smaller people. However, when you're doing something like the jumping spider, the longer your limbs are, the better that works. Or if you're going up the warped wall, if you're tall, that works. So there's different things that play to different body types. But the ninjas who do really well are the ones who can use their advantages and like figure out how to work to some of their disadvantages.
Right, definitely. And we heard, last season we've heard it a lot about keeping those L's, keeping those arms.
That's not even true.
Bent. No?
No.
Whoa.
So many of the ninjas have been getting an off bar, and I have too. Because,
really?
Yeah, you're not supposed to necessarily. And like that's becoming a new thing. Like you shouldn't hold your L's. And I can't give you an accurate description of why, because I am not a ninja.
Sure.
But they're all saying now that that's actually not always the right thing to do. And that's why sometimes you'll see them putting one of their arms down and shaking it, and it's to get the lactic acid back into their arms. So the L is not necessarily right. I think
it's a myth.
People think about it because if you see someone and they're no longer able to kind of hold up their arm and they're hanging, that means their arm strength is gone. So I think that's kind of a misconception.
Well, I think to me it always looked like it was so much pressure on the rotator cuffs, like on the flywheels especially tonight. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we did see a competitor, a lady, she used her legs at the battering
Smart.
ram, right?
I think was it Natalie Duran used her legs to kind of
That would make sense.
pull herself up, right? Exactly.
Yeah. But then she did fall. But still, it was something we hadn't seen before.
Right.
So I was like, hey, kudos to you for being, resourceful.
They get inventive out there.
Yeah.
I always love seeing, when they switch it up and they try something new, you know? So much goes into not only being a ninja, but also being kind of an icon and being this big personality that people know and root for. What do you think goes into being kind of like one of the faces of American Ninja Warrior?
They all have a really good story. So I think some of the ninjas that stand out are like Captain NBC. He has bright green hair and he wears
Right.
a superhero outfit.
Sure.
And now he's added a dog. He's got his little dog that also dresses like Captain NBC. So that's just somebody that everyone relates to a superhero, or they like seeing a superhero. Flip Rodriguez, his story is constantly evolving. He was wearing that mask, and then it came out why he was wearing the mask, and then this year is kind of his last year was redemption and taking off the mask. This year he's become such an inspiration to so many people. Or Jessie Graff, with Wonder Woman coming out this year, that was perfect.
Oh, of course, exactly.
But she also does the Wonder Woman kind of thing, and she's got such an authentic personality, which I really love. Who are some of the other guys that stand out to you?
Grant McCartney, obviously.
Well, Grant, he's like the best Hawaiian dude ever. He just, he was a flight attendant. Could you imagine if he was your flight attendant?
Oh God, yes.
That would make me really happy. I would too.
Yeah.
So he actually does ninja stuff on the flight, which I don't think is legal.
Probably not. Probably not great.
We
No,
won't
he's
tell.
just a really fun, happy guy. He actually had a very sad story the first year that we were
Really?
covering him. Yeah, he had a lot of death in the family, and
Okay.
it was really important to him to do something fun and for his family, and his dad's awesome just to see all of that. And now he's got these little dances that he does. So I think it's bigger personalities sometimes, but sometimes the smaller ones, you just love their authenticity.
Absolutely.
So we follow the storylines, and then there's also the characters.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's gotta be hard, you know, if they come up just too short, you know, especially if they're right on the precipice of maybe making it to Vegas.
And you know
then-
who has to tell them that?
That's exactly what I was getting at,
no.
right?
I always have to, like, and I sit there with the producers, and they're in our ears saying, hey, so if this guy makes it this far this fast, we're going to keep this guy on standby. You're going to have to go over and tell him that he
Oof.
didn't make it.
Oof.
Do you know how hard that is?
Right.
Especially, I start to have, you know, relationships with some of these people, and I'm really rooting for them. So to have to go give them terrible news, and it's something that they've trained for all year long.
Right.
And it's over in 5 minutes or less, and one little mistake, and it's just done for a year.
Right.
That's hard.
Gosh,
I know.
Right,
I
I
it's
never
heavy.
looked at it like that.
It's heavy to think
Yeah.
about. They could go wrong like in an instant like that, like we saw on the flywheels tonight. Like that, those flywheels
So much blood.
beat the hell out of people tonight.
They sure did. And that's another point of interviewing. There were a lot of bloody people standing really close to me, and I wanted to just hand them a Band-Aid and some like gauze or
Right.
something, or water to wipe it off. But they're tough, and a lot of the time they don't even realize that they're bleeding
Oh yeah.
when they talk to me.
Well, like watching Daniel Moreno's run tonight, not only having such a backstory with his brain injury and that huge scar on the side of his head, but for that flywheel to bust him open immediately right off the bat.
He didn't even know.
Right.
It was
didn't know.
dripping, like right
I
here.
know. I know, and he kept turning. Even in the interview, he wasn't aware that he was bleeding like that.
Really?
And so he kept turning, and I'm thinking, like, don't splash your blood on me. I feel bad for you, but please don't get your blood on me.
Right.
I think that they just have so much adrenaline going through them, and it actually happens more than you'd think. But they're all fine. We've only had a couple major
Oh, really?
injuries. Yeah.
I know we saw one person tonight. Who was it tonight? Someone flew completely. Tim Schnee flew completely
off
out of the course, out of
Oh,
bounds.
yeah, we were scared. I was scared. We were nervous, but he was fine.
Right. And that's the thing. It's if there was any similarity to Wipeout, it's the fact that a lot of these falls look so brutal, but then luckily they end up being fine.
The splashes in the water are always really funny.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
It is a very difficult competition, but they do try to include some humor in it as well. And the falls definitely give you.
Oh, of course. Well, I
Some
mean,
fun
last
ones.
season we saw the T-Rex.
Oh,
We saw the
that was
T-Rex around the
cute.
course.
Sure did. This year you'll see something else.
Really?
I can't tell you.
Anything at all?
No hints? No? Another creature?
They're not the naked person. Do you remember the naked person?
No, I don't think
That
I do.
happened 2 years ago. Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah. It was like a big fuzzy, like a bar where it needed to be.
Of course.
There's 2 things that happened.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
It hasn't been done before.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
all I can say.
But
Interesting.
You can't say it's an animal.
Not even.
It's not an animal.
Okay. All right. I will say I was shocked at how far that T-Rex made it on the course.
Me too.
Can you
That is talent.
can you tell us who was in that suit?
No,
No.
I don't even know.
Didn't think
Top
It
secret
was
information.
as far as I know, it was a
It
T-Rex.
is- I mean, like obviously, sure.
I don't know.
A T-Rex that trains down at Tempest, of course. What else did we have? Another thing that I love seeing is the returning veterans. You know, we saw Kevin Bull come back, and it's that dude's a machine. And it also speaks to how much pressure there must be. You know, we see guys coming back 4, 5, 6 times, and it's gotta just be that much harder to go like, okay, I have to make it to Vegas. You know?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I think it's different for every ninja because I would think the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's expecting you to do really well, so the pressure must get to you. But I think in order to be a successful ninja in the first place, you have to be really calm and collected when you're going on the course because nerves play such a big part of it, and you have to be really, really focused on because one mistake and you're done.
Right.
So I think that they already handle pressure very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jeff Britton last year.
Oh my God, yeah,
Going
yeah,
out
yeah.
on stage 1, that was shocking.
Right.
But I don't know. I asked him afterwards if it was the pressure and that because so many people were expecting him to go to Mount Midoriyama again.
Right.
I think it depends for every ninja, but I wonder that myself a lot too.
I want to know what the vibe is. You know, you're there seeing everything live. We see it. Well, you should have seen us watching the episode because we're like, and I feel like a lot of, viewers feel that way. But what is it like to be there and have all of the energy and just the suspense? It's insane.
It's the same, and we all have our favorites, our favorite ninjas. There,
Right.
what you don't see is there's about 120 ninjas that run per night. We obviously can't show them all, but
Right,
there's
because
about 120.
usually it's maybe what, like 40, 50 that make it to air in any given episode? For like the qualifiers.
I think less than that.
Less than, okay.
I don't know the exact number, and I think it varies, but there's so many, and so obviously we have our favorites, and we get attached to some of them, and so there are certain moments in the night, like if Jessie Graff's running, we're all making sure we're paying really close attention,
Right.
and if she falls, it's like, oh my gosh. But the energy is really crazy. It also, we shoot throughout the night. So
Right.
we start when the sun goes down, and oftentimes we are still shooting as the sun comes up. So that can create some like craziness on caffeine.
Right,
Like-
right. I went to one of the tapings a couple seasons ago at the Battleship over
In Long Beach.
Yes, in Long Beach. Yeah, I couldn't believe how late that was going.
I think that was an early night too.
Right.
Yeah, you can see actually in the episode. I think it was the All Stars Challenge. That was a special that just aired a couple months ago. But we shot it in Las Vegas, and we were still shooting. And usually they will end it specifically when the sun starts to come up. But there was nothing we could do because we had so much more to shoot. And so they actually had to acknowledge on the show, we're still going and the sun's up, and you could see like the sun in the background, and the sky was up. It was really pretty,
Right,
but
sure.
it definitely was not what was supposed to happen.
Right.
But yeah, no, it gets really crazy. Like at 5 a.m., I've seen Matt and Akbar order McDonald's. I'm usually on my 6th like venti coffee.
Sure.
So the energy
fair.
is crazy.
Right. Absolutely.
But it's fun. And you know what, by the way? We're just hosting. The ninjas are competing at that time. I
Right.
don't know how they do it.
Well, and it's like you said, the adrenaline definitely comes into play. Like no matter what time of night it is, you got to think that that's carrying them through a lot. You know.
Yeah.
A ninja's always ready.
There you
Yes.
go. Exactly.
They have to be.
Right? But tonight we saw a few new obstacles. We saw the battering ram, we saw the cannonball drop. Has there been an obstacle in the history of the show that has just decimated people to a degree that they were like, maybe we should retire this one?
No, they're never retired. Sometimes we might tweak it.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Not ever in the same night, because that's not fair to some of the ninjas who've
No,
already gone.
no,
but it would be
definitely
like
not.
if you see it again, they might
in like
tweak
the next
it.
season.
Right. The next season, or if it's like the next round or
Oh,
something.
okay.
Or if it comes up in another city,
Right.
they might change it for that. But no, I think that's kind of the point, is we know that there are going to be 1 or 2 really difficult obstacles, but that's what it's supposed to be, to kind of separate the great from the not so great.
Sure. What's the hardest one that you think there's been?
They get harder and harder every year. So
That's what it seems like.
That answer changes every week.
Right.
But I remember, I don't even remember what season that was, but there was one called the I-beam cross, which we did a variation of it this year, which was actually harder, but the ninjas had figured it out. That's the thing too, is they go build the obstacles at home.
Right.
Or in their gyms. So everything that the producers come up with, they just go build it and they figure it out.
Right.
But the I-beam cross was something where you had to kind of go horizontal and then lift yourself up vertically,
Okay.
but like while hanging. So when you look at it, it's like you can't even visualize in your mind how you could possibly get up, but only a few did.
Right.
And then this year they added like another dimension to it, and they were just flying through. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's the stuff like that. It's the stuff that tests the hanging strength and the
grip
grip
strength.
strength.
The body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's and that's the thing. It's not even just upper body strength, but it's specifically
Grip.
the strength in your fingers.
Right.
It seems so difficult.
That's why you'll see them. A lot of them have these like little boards in their house where it's only like an inch or 2 ledge, and a bunch of them sticking up in the wall, and they just hop around like this. Because imagine if you're holding on to, if you're doing pull-ups, you're holding on like this, so you can really use your arms, but you're literally, your entire body weight is hanging onto your fingers.
Right.
That takes a lot.
Ugh.
Or like those little squeezy things, you could do that.
Sure.
Like a stress ball.
Exactly. It does seem to be this cross section of like strength from from acrobatics and parkour and rock climbing and stuff like that. Is there a skill set that you think is particularly advantageous?
Rock climbers always do really well.
Right.
They have that grip strength. They also have the upper body strength. They're used to swinging around and being in high pressure situations. So they kind of know how to navigate really well. So rock climbers, absolutely. Gymnasts tend to do really well.
Sure.
Parkour.
Yeah, definitely. We saw one person, who was it? Anton Reichel tonight, who was a circus performer, and he running across the box run, and I completely forgot about that one in my rundown. He had these strides, like he had these hugely long legs, and was just made it across in what seemed like 2 strides.
That's good.
But it's stuff like that. It's it's circus performers. I love seeing that kind of unique approach to athleticism and stuff like this.
Yeah, we've had a couple circus performers, or guys like in Cirque du Soleil, or even the guys who do dunk shows at halftime for the
interesting.
NBA.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really cool when you're actually the mascot for the Celtics, who is my friend, because I used to sit next to him in our cubicles when I worked for the Celtics, came to compete on Ninja Warrior, and his friend was part of the Memphis Grizzlies dunk team, and they were there together. It was just like a very weird little reunion. But yeah, like all different types of people will use kind of what they do to translate it to the ninja course. Even like the race car drivers, you wouldn't think that it could translate, but it kind of does, because they're used to dealing with so much pressure.
Oh, sure, okay.
And they do have to be strong to maneuver the wheel, so...
That makes sense. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, but what was odd was there was this one obstacle where they were spinning around and around and around, and it took like all 3 of them out, and I was really confused because they should be used to going around and around and around and around, and they kept falling.
Lots of left turns.
I know. It's like, this is not the obstacle you're supposed to go down on.
Right.
But they all came back the next year.
Right, absolutely. We saw another, we've seen obviously all sorts of athletes before. We saw an Olympic pole vaulter tonight in April Steiner Bennett, who had actually vaulted against Jessie Graff in college.
Yeah.
I love seeing those kind of relationships where there will be partners, or there will be either couples or even former couples, as we saw with Casey Catanzaro and Jeff Britton.
We've had some love triangles.
That's got love triangles.
Oh, well, yeah.
Interesting.
There was one, like Grace, and they dress up like in all gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she was dating, I'm totally blanking on his name, but he's one of the good ninjas, and he dresses in all gold. But they were dating.
The guy with the shorts? The guy that had like all the fire in his backyard?
Yeah, that guy.
I was just trying to think
I'm blanking on his name, and he's really good. But they were dating, and then the next year, she came back married to a different ninja. And it was like, wait, what happened in this whole year? Like, something crazy had happened. So there's definitely love triangles, and there was like Flex Lebrecq. She is now dating a ninja from Chicago, and she moved from Boston to Chicago. So they all meet each other, and I mean, they have a lot of things in common.
Obviously,
so,
sure.
And that's great to see them come out together, and we follow their love story. Like Casey and Brett, it's been interesting. Or Brent. What was your question? You asked me about the couple.
About the relationships between ninjas.
No, it's a good point, because a lot of sports are really competitive against each other, and you don't want the other person to do well. But for ninjas, they all want each other to do well, so they're rooting for each other, and that's a very unique thing, which is cool to watch.
Well, and speaking of rooting for each other, I feel like with every single episode, we have a fair share of like, oh my goodness, it just tugs at your heartstrings. And one of the big ones for me this episode was Benjamin Humphreys and his brother, Miles. Does it ever get to you when you're interviewing them, or you see all of that emotion where you're just like trying to hold back the tears?
Have you seen? I've cried.
Yeah.
There's been episodes where I get choked up and teary-eyed for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be impossible not to, yeah.
I feel like I'd cry all the time.
That scene especially, I know exactly what you're talking about. That got us both, for sure.
Yeah.
As we were watching
I think it did for me, too. I'm usually pretty good at hiding it, or I'll just be like, okay, back to you.
Yeah. Right.
But actually, Grant was one, I think it was my first year. Grant was one where his brother was just so emotional. and just seeing how much he loved his brother like made me cry.
Right.
And plus, anyone's emotional at 3 a.m. Like everything feels a little extra heavy.
That's a good point.
So there's definitely been plenty of times that I've gotten teary-eyed.
For sure, yeah. Well, we had someone last season. God, once again, completely blanking on his name, but had his grandfather there at, at the courses, rooting for him and stuff like that. And it's stuff like that definitely gets you,
Yeah.
And not only that, but people fighting against all sorts of illnesses. And I mean,
my gosh.
with who was it? With Joe Hayden, the hopeful ninja, having pancreatic cancer and still looking as good as he does and doing as well as he did on the course is obviously so inspirational. It's the show, for as much as it is about physical obstacles, obviously, I feel like it's one of the most hopeful shows around in terms of just obstacles in life.
Oh yeah, we had a woman a couple years ago. She had stage 4 breast cancer, and she came out on the course. She fell on the first one, and I'm going to interview her, and I'm prepared for her to be really upset, but she was really happy. She's like, no, that was great. I didn't think I was even going to be here, and I'm here, and I got on one obstacle, and I'm on this show, so that's really cool. So it does give you a lot of hope, because there's so many people that have gone through things that we think, if that happened to me, I don't know what I would do, and then here they are competing on such a crazy athletic level. Like I cover all kinds of athletes, NBA, NFL, everything. And it's a different kind of athlete that does Ninja Warrior. Like I would love to see a lot of NFL and NBA guys even try.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, like we saw, tonight with Anthony Trucks, Akbar even said that the football players don't usually do all that well, but it does speak to a lot of the combination of power and agility and speed that you need for both of those things. Now last season we didn't see anyone make it all the way.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Poor Drew. I felt so bad for Drew.
That killed me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to get invested in just watching them get that close,
Because it's hard when no one wins the whole thing.
Right.
I know, that's tough. I always think about that too. Like,
right.
whenever someone asks me, "Oh, okay, so who won this year?" But it's not necessarily someone wins this year.
And there's not a lot of shows where you can say that.
I know,
there might not be a winner.
I feel a little torn actually about that. But I mean, I'm not a producer, so I can't. I don't know. That's above my brain level. But it's an interesting thing. I think that speaks to how much the show connects with people, that you're able to stick through it even though there's not necessarily a winner, because there's so many different wins every night depending on how you look at it.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's 6 buzzers that you would have to hit to make it all the way to the top.
And how are you really going to guarantee that there's a winner every year?
Right,
because if everyone goes down on stage 3, what are you supposed to do? Let them do it again? That's not how the show works. So really, there's no way to make it so that everyone would win. So I guess that's the answer that the producers would give you.
Right. Exactly. I'm hoping to see it.
We'll see. It gets really hard. I was so lucky though, because there had never been a winner, and then my first season there was a winner. So that was a pretty cool thing.
Wow, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See, you were the good luck charm, and
not the next.
Not
show,
even
though.
since.
Maybe this year.
Right. But I mean, we saw a lot of strong finishes tonight. We saw a lot of really. There were a couple people at the very end that we were kind of talking about where they had this strategy where after they got off the battering ram, they kind of swung around the beam and then just darted right up the wall. Both Flip did it and Grant McCartney did it.
Almost hitting the cameraman.
Right? Yes, Grant damn near ran over that cameraman.
I think they're just so excited, and at that time, maybe sometimes they're thinking about their time, so they just want to go really fast, and they know that they can do the work.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's got to trip a lot of people up. People that think too much about their time. They talked a lot about Flip tonight being a lot more mature, a lot more measured, stuff like that. Because if you get so caught up in being the fastest, that's how you get you.
It's something that you have to weigh, because being fast can help you if you're on the bubble and you're going to get eliminated.
Right.
but it can also hurt you because it increases the chances that you'll make a mistake, and you're not really thinking about each obstacle before you go through it. But for some people, they don't want to overthink it, so it's very specific to each ninja.
Right. We talked about that spatial awareness of Grant and Flip swinging around that beam, but still technically being on course. And it's so heartbreaking to see people that just, they make it far and then their toe barely touches the water and they're out on a technicality.
And guess who has to tell them that?
Once again.
It's me. I know. They'll be, and then they like go through the rest of the course, and then they come to me, and I'm like, so, back on that obstacle, did you remember feeling the water? And they're like,
so
no.
wait, they'll keep going? They'll keep going?
Yeah, sometimes, because the producers have to go through and like look at the replay to see if they're actually disqualified.
Oh, no.
And then it's me who tells them that they're disqualified, and they're in shock. And then they're mad at me. I'm like, trust me, I didn't make that call. It wasn't my decision. I feel really bad. Sorry. But no, that's heartbreaking.
Right.
Because they did so well. But at the same time, we do, before the episode starts shooting, they go through a very detailed rules thing. Like, you cannot put your foot here. You cannot do this. So they know.
That makes sense.
They're just in
And
the
for the
zone.
most part, if they're mad, they're mad for like 2 seconds. And then they realize that it's fine.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone staying mad on the course.
Yeah.
But there were so many. We saw so many strong finishes. I mean, did you have any sort of anyone that stood out to you tonight as favorites for the season?
Okay, I hope I say this right.
Mm-hmm.
Janique Lavette.
There you go.
Yeah, she
She's
was
a
really
rock
cool.
star.
She kind of came out of nowhere, but she had a great story. Her son, if I remember, was doing backflip.
Yes. Oh my God, that was incredible.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and she did really, really well. So I'm rooting for her in the city finals.
Let's see who else. There was, I remember, because with each person I was writing notes and everything, and once Anthony Trucks made it through, I just wrote yes, because you're so invested in the episode and you're just like, ugh. And I found myself like trying to help them.
You will them up.
I was like,
exactly.
I got this, guys. Let's do it together. But yeah, as soon as he got up there, I was like, okay, I am so in this. Let's do this, guys. But yeah, and I was gonna talk about the ladies. They did say that since the women are getting stronger, that they're having to tweak a few things. Okay, I had to write this down. So the top 5 women from qualifying will move on to the city finals. So even if they don't finish completely, go up
in the top 30. Well, because it's always, you don't necessarily have to make it to the top of the warped wall. You just have to be the top 30 farthest, fastest. But now, this season, we have a new rule that the top 5 women, regardless of where they place, will advance to the city finals.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about that?
I think it's a good opportunity to see more women compete in the city finals and kind of give them a second chance where they might not before. But honestly, sometimes I'm torn, because if you ask any of the women, a lot of fans will say you should have 2 courses, one for the guys, one for the girls. And if you ask any of the female competitors, they will say absolutely not.
No way.
We want to be on the exact same course, showing that we can do it just as well, if not better, as the guys. And like Jessie Graff has proved that she can do that. Megan Martin is really great. Casey's done it before.
Right.
So I think the women are getting better and better, and this is maybe allowing them to catch up.
I see. Okay,
so
sure.
I'm okay with that.
Absolutely, definitely. And yeah, like you said, the runs that we see from Jessie Graff and from Megan Martin especially is just, it's ridiculous, and it's better than really any of the other guys in the season.
Yeah, because it's rare that you see one of the women doing so well, because there's a lot more guys that compete and do well. So that's why when Jessie does it, it's so special. And then also that Jessie's such a cool person, and she's got such a great story, and she's really a role model for a lot of little girls. There's going to be so many Wonder Women this year.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a really cool thing to see the women doing well.
Right. Now, I know you can't obviously play favorites. Was there anyone, and obviously you guys are, far into shooting, stuff like that, who out of everyone from tonight, let's say just the LA qualifiers, really kind of jumped out at you, like, okay, they have a chance to really go far?
Oh my gosh, I have to remember who. Do you guys have a list who made
Yes.
it?
Of everyone that made it? Yeah, sure.
I need to refresh my memory.
Let's see, we got...
For the ladies,
Oh, yeah, go for it.
so we have Janique Lavette, Tiana Weberly, April Steiner Bennett, Rebecca Bonilla, and Natalie Duran.
Okay.
them. And then for the guys, I have a few of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got Anthony Trucks, Kevin Bull, Josh Levin,
Josh Levin.
Yes, yeah, right.
That's the one. Yeah, Josh is going to go very far. I don't know.
Right.
No, I really don't, because we haven't even shot the finals yet.
Okay,
I'm leaving
sure.
Saturday to go shoot the finals. I really think that Josh Levin is going to do very, very well this season.
Yeah, definitely.
He would be my pick.
And he had a partner also in Charlie Andrews, right? That ran.
A lot of them have guys that they go rock climbing with or work out with together. So yeah.
Who else? We had Riles Nagunga, which is another one of my absolute favorites. Not only tow truck driver, but going for a master's in recreation and leisure.
Oh,
That's one of my favorites, absolutely.
I wonder what that entails.
Right?
Recreational leisure?
Recreation and leisure.
I want to get a master's in that.
Who else? Anton Reichel, Flip Rodriguez,
Or
Adam,
Flippy.
Adam Rail.
Flippy. I know.
Flippy.
That was a new one this year.
For sure.
Flip I think will do really well. Daniel Gill was in this episode, I think.
Not in this episode, no, but he's going to be next week, I think, on the San Antonio.
Okay. I get the
Right?
So
Your
ex-
hometown.
Yeah, I'm so excited for San Antonio. A lot of my friends went to the taping.
Oh,
I'm
did they?
so jealous. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yay, San Antonio.
Daniel Gill's another one of those guys
Yeah,
that
he'll do really well.
he's insane.
But Kevin Bull's always so good.
Right.
Oh my
Right.
gosh, he's insane.
Who else? We had Nick Hansen, the Eskimo Ninja, also,
I like him a lot.
which I loved. I loved the story of Grant McCartney rather, going from
To Alaska.
Hawaii to Alaska to train.
That's
There's
commitment.
just ninja gyms everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all different. And there's reasons to visit each one to get better at a certain thing, and they're all
Right.
like becoming really good friends and making businesses out of it. It's really cool.
Well, it was doing the show last season. I just started taking classes over at Tempest in Hawthorne, and I cannot believe how difficult it is.
It's really hard.
Just insane. I've never been that sore in my life before.
You've never
Been that sore before
well,
in
that
my
means
life.
it's a good workout, right?
Exactly. You're using parts of your body you didn't even know existed.
Exactly.
But it's, yeah.
I feel like we should record that experience because
should.
that sounds very fun.
We should. It was
Yeah.
great. I got trapped
Next
in a
time.
foam pit. Could not escape. I'll tell you that.
Is that what they
Put
use
up
instead
here.
of water? Is a foam pit?
Yes. Yeah. Lots of foam blocks.
Warmer.
It's scarier than you would think, but a lot of fun. It's so interesting seeing all these different stories and seeing, you know, which ninjas make it and which don't. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the season. I think that's our time. Kristine, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
coming
having
in.
me, guys.
This was an
Thank you.
absolute blast. Amy, what'd you think? What'd you think of your first?
It was awesome. I started watching American Ninja Warrior when it started, and so
Like
it's,
season 1?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just been crazy.
You're a
to
real
see,
fan.
Right?
Yeah, it's been crazy to see how everything's changed over the years, but it definitely always. I leave watching the show wanting to work out.
Always.
It's
Me
It's
too.
it gets you
fantastic.
pumped.
I work at Equinox, so that really helps.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
so
where I saw the guy flagging, by the way. Maybe you know
I'll
him.
have to do some research on
Right?
that one, but
There you
yeah,
go.
just I feel so strong just watching. Just makes you want to work on my body.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
Well, Kristine,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Where can they find you online?
On Instagram, Twitter, whatever else there is. It's all Kristine Leahy. It's really easy to
That's
find.
easy to remember.
But you can find me on both.
Exactly.
And KristineLeahy.com.
Oh, there you go. Of course, can't forget that. And Cassandra, where can they find you?
You can find me at amycassandra.com. That's my website. You can find all my socials there. But yeah, Twitter, Instagram, AmyCassandra_TV. Yeah.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. As always, you can find me on social media at Ty Matthews PMA. You can find me tomorrow on not only the American Grit After Show, but the Lucha Underground After Show. We'll be right back here next week talking Season 9, Episode 2, the San Antonio Qualifiers. But until then, peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.